All right, we're back again. Another night stream. But before we get going, we got to send out some notifications. You guys always kind of know what sleep schedule I'm on based on when we do our streams. So, what's your guess, chat? What's your guess on what sleep schedule I'm on now? Considering the past 2 days we've done night streams. Anybody got a guess? Let's see here. Let's get this pulled up. What's up, Brian? First in chat. What's up, dude? Welcome. Why is my chat not working again, man? Hold on. What's up, Style Alert? Let me get these comments pulled up over here, so I have an easier time reading them. Let me take care of that real quick. There we go. Okay. Alright, just shrink that down a little bit. What's up, Edward? What's up, Glenn? Sanchez, my boy. What's up, Gustavo? Truth. Mike says, don't forget. Oh, I am so glad you said that. Because I was about 2 seconds away from indeed forgetting. So, Mike, Gustavo, who else was it? Hold on. I can figure this out. Mike, Gustavo, and Ghost. There we go. Mike, Gustavo, and Ghost are going to be our sponsors for today's stream. So give them a round of applause. We got some sponsors for today's stream. I'm glad you said that. Because I 110% would have forgotten that. Pootie says, Happy New Year, Wonder Bro. Happy New Year, everybody. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Hopefully you guys go into this new year with a new attitude. Right? A new attitude towards anxiety, or maybe you're already working on that. Hopefully you just level that up going into this new year. So what are we going to be talking about? Tonight? Whew, it is a long title for tonight. I had to write it down just so I could remember. It's a long title for tonight. You think you're barely surviving each time, and that is what keeps you stuck. All right? You think you're barely surviving each time, and that is what keeps you stuck. Terry as well. Yes, Terry as well. Thank you, Gustavo, and thank you, Mike. I'm glad I didn't forget. Well, I did forget. I'm glad you guys reminded me. Terry as well. Terry, Mike, Gustavo, and Ghost. Shout out to those 4 guys right there. Good people. So, let's see. Chat is already filling up. We might as well jump into the point of tonight's stream. No reason to wait around too long, right? So you think you're barely surviving each time, and that is what keeps you stuck. Now, yesterday, we talked about the root cause of your anxiety. That was yesterday's stream, and in that stream, we talked about how the root cause of your anxiety, what this really all comes back to is the fact that you're afraid of the way that you feel, right? How does that play into what we're talking about tonight when we say, and I got to keep looking up, when we say you think you're barely surviving each time and that is what keeps you stuck? How does that go together? Okay, so here's the thing. You're afraid of the way you feel, and you're not willing to completely go there with the way that you feel. Let me explain that. You start to feel very anxious, or you start to feel very panicky, and I want to hear from you guys in the chat. I want a show of hands. How many people has felt very anxious or very panicky, having a ton of intrusive thoughts or physical symptoms or whatever the case may be? And what happens is you do some sort of action. You take some sort of action. We call this a coping method or a compulsion, whatever you want to call it. You do something to try to offset that. You do something to try to get away from that, right? Now, here's what happens when you live that way, okay? And like I said, tonight's stream goes really hand in hand with yesterday's stream. I recommend watching both of them. Here's what happens when you live that way. Here's what happens when you do something, okay? I don't know what that something is for you personally, but here's what happens when you do something. Every single time you're very, very anxious and you're having a lot of physical symptoms or a lot of negative intrusive thoughts. When you do something to off-put it and to say, okay, I did my coping method. I'm doing my compulsion. You know, sometimes you don't even label it as a compulsion or a coping method. It's just what you've done for so long. I did the thing, right? So now I'm good. Whatever the thing is for you, right? I fought with that thought long enough. Now I'm good. I solved that thought by doing the compulsion. So now I'm good. I got away from that feeling by exiting the situation. So now I'm good. I got away from that feeling by doing my coping method. So now I'm good, right? So here's the problem with that. Yesterday we talked about fear of the way that you feel being the number one thing that keeps you stuck in this cycle. How are you ever going to lose the fear of the way that you feel if you continue to do these things that kind of puts the anxiety off, puts the panic off, takes it down a notch, right? We call these coping methods. How are you ever going to lose the fear of the way that you feel if you continue to do these things? Because if you continue to do these things, you are going to be convinced, you are going to be 110% convinced that the only reason you survived that high bout of anxiety or even panic, you're going to be convinced that the only reason you survived is because you did said coping method or said compulsion, right? And there's a number of them. A number of them exist, and everybody's different, so I don't know what yours is. But you're going to be completely convinced that the only reason you survived your last high bout of anxiety or panic is because you did your coping method. You did your compulsion, or you did one of your coping methods, or one of your compulsions, whatever the case is, right? So this is an ongoing cycle. You're stuck in a cycle where you're afraid of the way that you feel, and we need to get you to a point where you're not so afraid of the way that you feel. But how can we get you to that point if every time you experience high anxiety or panic, you start fighting with it using compulsions and coping methods, so forth and so on? We call that fighting with the thoughts and feelings. How can we get you out of the cycle, okay, if you are convinced that each time you have high anxiety and high panic, that the only reason you survived is because you used your coping methods or your compulsions? We can't, right? We can't. So this is where people get stuck in the cycle. Day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, they have this long list of coping methods or compulsions. I had a ton, and I'm sure you have several as well. They use these coping methods and compulsions whenever they feel high anxiety or high panic. They start fighting with the thoughts and feelings. They use their coping methods. They use their compulsions to try to escape these feelings, right? They get a little bit of relief from that, but the cycle continues because they can never learn to not be afraid of the way that they feel because they're convinced that they barely survived because they used a coping method. They're convinced that they barely survived because they used a compulsion. So each time you're using these compulsions and coping methods, you're telling the brain, hey, the danger's real when it's not. And you're also telling yourself, hey, you're not going to make it, you're not going to survive unless you do these things, these compulsions and coping methods. So the cycle continues. The next time high anxiety and panic comes around, you're still scared to death of it. We call that second fear. You're still scared to death of it because you've never seen it right through. You've always had to use your coping methods, your compulsions, which consist of fighting with it, running away from it, yada, yada, yada. So you never lose the fear of it because each time high anxiety and high panic rolls around, you're in your head thinking, well, damn, I need to do something about this. You never see it right through. So we talked yesterday about how fearing the way that you feel, aka fearing the anxiety, is the root problem here. How can we get you over fearing the anxiety, fearing the way that you feel, if every time high anxiety and panic rolls around, you do something about it? You use a coping method, you use a compulsion, you never see it right through, as Dr. Claire Weeks put it. You never see it right through. So if we know that fearing the way that you feel is the root problem here, how can we get you to stop fearing the way that you feel if you never see it right through, right? And I'm not saying that this is an easy process, right? I'm not saying this is an easy process. I'm not saying you come on here, you listen to the streams, and then you never use another coping method or a compulsion ever again. It doesn't work like that. It's an up and down experience. It takes time. It takes practice. We use the word practice a lot. Dr. Claire Weeks used the word practice a lot because we know that it's not just some magical switch that you flip, right? I'll address that in a second. We know that it's not some magical switch that we flip. You come on here and you learn, okay, Wonder Bros said fear of the way that I feel is the reason I keep keeping myself in this fear cycle. I need to lose the fear of the way that I feel. What did he say in the next stream? In the next stream, he said in order to do that, you don't try to escape the thoughts or feelings with the coping methods or compulsions. You see them right through so that you can learn the fear of them, right? Okay, I'm good. I'm golden. No more problems, right? It doesn't, realistically, it doesn't work like that. It takes time. It takes practice, right? It takes time. It takes practice, okay? So I noticed somebody in chat said, man, I suck. And I'm assuming you're saying, man, I suck, because you know that you still use coping methods and compulsions. Guess what? That's okay. Doesn't mean you suck. It means you got some practice to do. And what are you doing currently? You're practicing. So just because you have a straight week where you use nothing but coping methods and compulsions and you never see the anxiety right through, therefore you never start to learn to stop fearing it, right? Doesn't mean you're a failure. Doesn't mean you suck. It means we got some work to do, right? Does mean that. But it doesn't mean you're a failure, and it doesn't mean that you suck, okay? And you guys might hear Nova in the background. I think she's got Oh, she's got a stuffed animal, and she has ripped that to oh, that's going to be real fun to clean up later. So, Pootie says in chat, failing, it's a part of the practice. It is. Because here's the thing. You got to get some experience under your belt. How do you get experience under your belt? By tackling this anxiety, this high anxiety and panic while it's there without resorting to the fighting or fleeing or whatever the case may be. Right? Whatever the case may be. So we come on here and tell you, fear of the way that you feel is the main problem. How do you get over that? You stop fearing the way that you feel. How do you get over that? You see the anxiety and panic right through without using a coping method or compulsion, because every time you do that, you think to yourself, oh man, I just barely survived that one. Thank God for my coping methods and compulsions. And you never get the chance to see that there was nothing to fear and that you could get through it without having to fight it. Right? So we did a short on why coping methods hurt, and that's why. When Dr. Claire Weeks says see it right through, you got to see it right through, because that's the only way you can lose the fear of it. How can you lose the fear of it if every time high anxiety and panic comes along, you do something to kind of combat it? And then you think to yourself, well, thank God I did that. I barely survived that. If that's always going to be your attitude towards anxiety, I barely survived that because I did the coping method or compulsion, then how are you going to lose the fear of it? Every time it rolls around, you're going to think that. Every time it rolls around, you're going to think, man, I just barely survived last time because I did my compulsion and my coping method, so that's what you're going to do again. And then again, and then again, and then again. And you're never going to get to the point where you're like, okay, it came. I didn't do anything. Just kept living. The two main keys, right? Just kept living my life. Didn't fight with any of it. I survived. So you gain that experience. You slowly start to lose the fear of it, right? You can't get to the point where you slowly start to lose the fear of it if every single time it comes, you think to yourself, well, I just barely survived last time. I need to do those coping methods again. I need to do those compulsions, right? How can you ever lose the fear of it if that's what you do? Now, someone in chat says, time? Hell, I'll be 80. It'll take as much time as it takes for you to say, you know what? I'm going to start practicing seeing it right through. You know what? Next time I have high anxiety and panic, I'm going to do my best to at least cut back on the coping methods and compulsions, right? We never said you had to be perfect. We just got through talking about how this isn't a magical switch. You know, you come on, you watch a stream, Wonderbear says the main root problem here is that you fear the way that you feel. We learned that from Dr. Claire Weeks, right? Second fear. And then Wonderbear says, okay, how do I get over the fear the way that I feel? Well, I stop using so many compulsions and coping methods, which is all just fighting with the thoughts and feelings, right? And I see it right through. And then I start to learn that I can survive. I start to learn that I'll be fine, right? Instead of every single time it comes on, you think to yourself, oh, I barely survived last time. I need to do this compulsion or coping method, you know, teaching yourself the wrong thing, never giving yourself a chance to lose the fear of it, right? You can come on here and you can learn all that, and that sounds great. But guess what? I know it's not a fun process. Guess what? I know you're a human being. Guess what? I know you're not perfect. Guess what? I wasn't perfect either, right? It's a start, man. It's a freaking start. If the next time you have high anxiety and high panic, you just cut back on some of those compulsions or coping methods, whatever you want to call it. It's a start. If next time you have high anxiety and high panic, you don't run to the same corner that you normally run to. It's a start. If next time you have high anxiety and panic, you at least try to use less coping methods, right? No such thing as perfection. No such thing as perfection. This is very much a practice. Dr. Clear Weeks love the word practice, and I do too, because it's very much a practice, right? Nobody's perfect. Nobody here in this chat has ever just listened to what we just said and said, oh, okay, that makes sense. It's good, right? It's good. Everything's fine now. I'll never make that mistake again. Next time I have high anxiety and high panic, don't worry about it, Wonderbro. I got it. I'll never use another compulsion or coping method in my life. I'll just sit with it, just live right through it, and I'll lose my fear of it. Gotcha. And then they go off, and then everything's hunky-dory. Never has happened. I've been doing this for years now. Never in my life have I ever gave that advice to somebody, and they come back to me the next day or next week or next month and say, you know what? Ever since you explained how the cycle works to me, I was able to sit right through it. Never used another coping method, never used another compulsion. I proved to myself that there was nothing to fear. Yep, perfect. Never happened again, right? Doesn't happen like that. But what does happen, some time goes by, some months go by, I'm talking to the same people. They tell me, hey, you know, I'm having having some rough days, but there are some days where I'm able to sit through it. There are some days where I'm able to just live life. I don't resort to the coping methods, but, you know, tomorrow they come back and they say, well, I resorted to some coping methods. This is normal, right? This is very much normal. You're building confidence slowly. And I don't expect that confidence to be full force 100% overnight. I don't expect that confidence to be full force 100% overnight. There's going to be times where you quote-unquote crack. There's going to be times where you quote-unquote can't sit through it and you just got to use a dang coping method or a compulsion, whatever. There's going to be times where you just can't. You freak yourself out, you add some second fear, and you go back to doing some bad habits. These times are going to happen. But what's slowly also going to happen in the background as you practice and learn about this thing, you're going to have little moments where, okay, maybe I sat with it for 5 more minutes than I normally do, right? Maybe I delayed using that coping methods for a few minutes. Maybe I had a better inner voice than I normally do. Maybe I didn't jump off the couch so quick that night, right? These little victories and these little experiences add up. They add up. You don't have to be perfect at this. When you're trying to overcome your fear of anxiety, okay, which is all this cycle is, your fear of fear. When you're trying to overcome your fear of fear and fear symptoms, right? It's very much a process that looks like this. All over the fucking place. Zigzag, left and right, up and down, diagonal, whatever. It's all over the fucking place. It really is. Okay? But what happens is, as long as you stick to it and you're really practicing, you're going to start to get a little bit more confident, a little bit more confident, a little bit more confident. Sometimes some high anxiety and panic comes along, boom, just knocks you down to not being confident at all again. But you pick yourself back up, you start gaining a little bit more confidence. You see where we're going with this? A little bit more confidence, okay? And that's why it's like this. You're trying to overcome your fear of fear. This is not something that's a light switch, right? For a lot of people, it's not a light switch. I'm not saying there's not people out there that don't just pick up this advice and run with it. I'm sure there is. But for me, personally, and for majority of people, right, that have been there, it was very much an up and down sort of process. You gain little bits of confidence here and there. Sometimes you fail, sometimes you win. But slowly but surely, you are proving to yourself that there's nothing to fear. Slowly but surely, you're cutting out compulsions and coping methods, and you're able to sit with it longer. Slowly but surely, you are getting to a point where one day you will be able to say to yourself, and once you're able to say this to yourself, you know that you've put in some work. One day you'll be able to say to yourself, in the midst of high anxiety, right there in the heat of the moment, when that shit is through the roof, you'll know that you've made it. When that shit is through the roof, and you're able to sit there and say to yourself, I survived last time, I'll survive this time. I'm not running to the same corner. I'm not picking up the phone to call this person or that person. I'm not pacing around the house. I'm not running to the bed. You know, whatever. There's so many different coping methods and compulsions. You know, that's your business. But you will know that all the work that you've been putting in is paying off, and it will pay off if you keep up. If you know, keep it up. You'll know that all this work is paying off when the day comes that anxiety and panic is through the fucking roof. And you're able to sit there and say, I survived this last time, I will survive this time, right? I'm not doing all the things that I normally would do in this moment. Gonna see it right through. These experiences add up. The confidence adds up. The motivation adds up, right? It's all very much adding up. And if you can't see it right now, you best believe that as long as you're trying to lose your fear of this, and you're trying to embrace it, you're trying not to fight with it or run from it so much, rest assured that there's things going on behind the scenes in your brain. You're going to reap the benefits of this, but you got to keep trying, right? So I know, especially when you first start out, and hell, even in the middle of your journey, I know that there can be some days where that shit is so through the roof that you're just like, man, I can't do it. These days happen. But slowly but surely, if you keep getting back on track and you keep practicing losing your fear of fear, there's going to come a day where that shit is through the roof. But you're able to say, you know what? I survived last time without coping methods and compulsions. I'm going to see it right through this time. Slowly but surely, you are losing your fear of fear, right? I know for the past couple streams we've not said the words, the two main keys, right? But understand that the two main keys are just the tools that get you to the main objective. The main objective being losing your fear of fear, right? What are the two main keys? Live your life. Stop fighting with the thoughts and feelings. A lot of people say, what does live your life mean? It means when the anxiety is high and through the roof, you don't do anything different. You don't use compulsions. You don't use coping methods. You live your life and you see it right through. What does stop fighting with your thoughts and feelings mean? It means you don't get up in your head and start freaking yourself out. It means you keep the accepting inner voice of, you know what, I'm going to see it right through. So the two main keys are just the tools that lead to the ultimate objective. The ultimate objective being losing your fear of fear. Dr. Claire Weeks knew it better than anyone else when she said the main issue here is fear of fear. Don't quote me exactly, but she said something along the lines of, you'll see that the individual is just afraid of the way that he or she feels. Very much just afraid of the state that they're in. In fact, just so I get a clear quote on that, we're going to look that up so I can give you the exact quote on that, because that's very important. That is very important. Let's see here. Hold on. Hopefully I can find it and pull it up. If not, we'll just have to wing it. I'm not seeing it in the results. I know she said, okay, we're not going to sit here and search Google for hours. She said something along the lines, don't quote me exactly, of fear of the state that you're in, right? That's good enough. Fear of the state that you're in. So we know that the two main keys are just tools to get you to that main objective of losing the fear of the state that you're in. Now, just to kind of pull it back here, how will you ever lose the fear of the state that you're in? How will you ever lose the fear of the state that you're in if every single time you use a coping method or compulsion when that shit's high, right, when the anxiety and panic's through the roof, you use a coping method or compulsion to kind of get it to go down or get it to go away? How are you ever going to lose the fear of it if every single time you have to do something about it? It's a self-perpetuating cycle. Next time you feel high anxiety and panic, you're going to be convinced, as the title of this stream says, I barely survived last time, so I need to make sure that I barely survived this time, right? That's going to be your attitude, and that attitude is going to keep you in the fear cycle. We got to get you to a point where you say, I don't need anything to survive this. I'm losing the fear of the way that I feel, right? How? How, chat? Anybody know the answer? By seeing it right through, right? By seeing it right through. So that was the main point of today's stream, guys. If you did enjoy the stream, make sure you leave a like. It helps get this information out there to people who may desperately need it, and I would really, really appreciate it. With that being said, we're going to switch on over to post and read some comments. Let's read some comments. Let's see here. Who we got in chat tonight? Make yourselves known. Who do we got in chat tonight? Let's see. We got Kate. What's up, Kate? We got Redwood. What's up? What's up? We got Pooty. Let's see. Also, before we get into reading all the comments, we got some tips that I want to address. Thank you so much from Kara for the $5 tip. Thank you so much to, well, they used the name Mike. So thank you so much, Mike, for the $5 tip. Takes us to 10. Thank you guys so much. By the way, thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for 67 days on the streak. Absolutely insane. I really do appreciate it. I feel like this was a good one. It really goes hand in hand with everything that we talked about yesterday. It really, really does. You don't have to control your thoughts. You just have to stop letting them control you. I like that. Recovery lies in doing the things you fear the most. Absolutely. Because you start to lose the fear of the fear once you see that you don't have to do anything to quote-unquote survive it. Right now, you're stuck in a cycle of thinking you're just barely surviving it because you're using all these coping methods and compulsions. But if you actually stare it in the face and see it right through every time it rolls around, you'll eventually lose the fear of it. But how can you lose the fear of it if you don't stare it in the face and see it right through? Because you're too busy using coping methods, compulsions, which by that we just mean fighting with the thoughts and feelings, right? Trying to do something about them. How can you lose the fear of it if every single time you do something like that? How can you lose the fear of it if every single time you think that you're just barely surviving? Of course you're going to fear it next time it rolls around, because last time you're convinced that you had to do something about it or else it was going to be bad news, right? Something bad was going to happen if you didn't do what you did last time, whatever your coping method or compulsion is, right? Something bad was going to happen, but you just barely escaped it because you used a coping method or a compulsion, which is just not true, right? But how can you ultimately lose the fear of it? How can you ultimately lose the fear of it if every single time high anxiety and panic rolls around, you do something about it, some sort of coping method or compulsion, right? So next time it rolls around, you're going to be convinced, well, I barely survived last time, I'm barely surviving this time. You're never going to lose the fear of it that way. You do lose the fear of it by seeing it right through, which means letting it be, not try to use coping methods, compulsions, fighting with the thoughts and feelings, stare it right in the eye, and eventually it's going to go away. Eventually it's going to fade away, and then you're going to gain a little confidence. You're going to say, oh, I did that, right? So that next time it rolls around, right, we go from, oh, shit, here it is again. I barely survived last time, but I used my coping methods, right? Next time it rolls around, you're going to be like, hey, I survived last time. I'm going to survive this time. We'll see it right through again. Slowly but surely, that's how you lose the fear of this thing, right? So definitely goes hand in hand with what we talked about yesterday. Yesterday was a great stream. This stream is pretty much just a follow-up to that, but definitely goes hand in hand. Definitely goes hand in hand. What's up, Trav? What's up, dude? I didn't see you sneak in there. Anyone else is back? Neck tense up when high levels of anxiety are present. I think somebody actually just mentioned that. Maybe? Let's see. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm seeing things. What's up, Soul? Welcome, dude. But as far as you say back and neck tense up, these are all very common symptoms. Of course, I can't diagnose anybody, but those are some common anxiety symptoms. I just watched the stream from yesterday before I popped in. Definitely hits home. Absolutely. People spend a long time not truly facing these symptoms, because every time high symptoms and high panic comes, they face it for a little bit, and eventually they resort to coping methods and compulsions. And then, when you do that, you never give yourself a chance to see that there's nothing to fear. So how are you gonna stop fearing this thing if you never give yourself a chance to see that there's nothing to fear? But the reason people don't like that is because that does require facing it without the compulsions, without the coping methods, without all this, that, and the other, right? So that's why it's easier said than done. People don't like to do that. It's an uncomfortable experience at first. But how are you ever going to lose the fear of it if you never give yourself a chance to learn that there's nothing to fear, right? If you have the mindset of, oh, I just barely survived last time, right? How are you ever going to lose the fear of it that way? So so it does require a lot of facing some discomfort, or a lot of discomfort rather. We're putting it lightly here, but it does require a lot of that, and that's why you see people not doing it. That's why you see people not doing that, because it requires facing a lot of discomfort. But at the same time, it's what's going to break you out of the cycle, because you're going to gain confidence. You're going to realize that you don't just have to do something just to survive. Oh, I gotta just do these things just to barely make it, right? You're not going to lose the fear of it that way. Not going to lose the fear of it that way. Hope you're having a good night tonight, Edward. We got a break in the action here, so let's get some music going. Let's see. Probably going to have to sit through an ad real quick. That's fine. No big deal. There we go. Hopefully that's not too loud. Let's see. Okay, there we go. There we go. Sanchez. Always theming the emojis. Did the OCD make you explode and get angry at times during your process? So getting frustrated is not unheard of, right? It's definitely not unheard of. It's easy to get frustrated. Pick yourself right back up and understand what the objective is, right? Instead of spending too much time in frustration, pick yourself back up and understand what the objective is. You've got a clear objective now. There's no doubt about that. So there shouldn't be any confusion there. You've got a clear objective, which is to lose the fear of the way that you feel. And you know that the only way to lose the fear of the way that you feel, right, is to experience it without doing anything about it, aka fighting with thoughts and feelings, aka using coping methods and compulsions, right? That's the only way. Seeing it right through. That way you can gain some confidence with it. So yeah, very common to get frustrated, but you've got a clear objective now. Keep working at it. Keep practicing. You don't have to be perfect. You've got your clear objective, and let's try to make some headway there. Let's try to make some headway there. That's all we're worried about. We're not worried about being perfect. We're just worried about putting in a little bit of practice, right? Hey, what's up, Sanity? I'm sorry to hear about your loss, but I'm glad that you are approaching the anxiety in the correct fashion. So we're trying to score some points against anxiety by seeing it right through, proving to ourselves that we can get through it, proving to ourselves that we don't need all the fighting with the thoughts and feelings to get through it, proving to ourselves that it will fade without all of the fighting, right? So very clear objective. Very clear objective. So basically, I think you're asking Pooty, did any of my intrusive thoughts come in the form of images? Yes, I think that's very common for most people, actually. I think most people's intrusive thoughts come in the form of images. Or at the very least, they come with an image, right? At the very least, they come with an image. So yeah, that's not unheard of. In fact, that's very common. Of course, here's the thing. Everybody's intrusive thoughts can be a bit different, okay? And that gets people confused sometimes. Am I tackling this the same way, Wonder Bro? Yes. An intrusive thought is an intrusive thought. Whatever your triggers are, everybody's got different triggers. This thought triggers me, doesn't trigger you. This thought, whatever, right? Everybody's got different triggers. Maybe not even thoughts. Oh, I'm scared to death of this symptom. Person B is scared to death of this symptom. Everybody's got different triggers, whether it be thoughts, feelings, whatever. Triggers are different. But it's the same action at the end of the day that you got to take. You got to lose the fear of it. You got to lose the fear of whatever you're triggering yourself over. How do you do that? Going right through it without fighting with it, living your life. Eventually you'll see that it leaves you alone and you survived and you didn't have to do anything about it, right? Dr. Claire Weeks says that sensitization will quickly repair itself without fear. So you got to lose the fear. How do you lose the fear of fear? How do you lose the fear of first fear? What is first fear? Thoughts and feelings. Triggers, basically. First fear is triggers, basically. How do you lose the fear of that? Because Dr. Claire Weeks clearly states if we lose the fear, sensitization will repair itself rather quickly. So how do you lose the fear of the triggers? By allowing them to be without doing anything about them, and then eventually you see that they start to fade out, right? And you're like, holy shit, I just did that. And you chuckle a little bit. Oh, we're starting to get some confidence going now, right? You chuckle a little bit. Holy shit, I just did that. Holy shit, I just did that. Right? So we're building confidence, and we're slowly losing the fear of first fear. What is first fear? Again, it's your triggers, whatever triggers you. We're slowly losing the first fear, we're slowly losing the fear of the first fear, which just means we're losing the fear of our triggers. How? By seeing them right through, as Dr. Claire Weeks puts it, without trying to do anything about them, which requires facing, and then eventually you see that they kind of leave you alone on their own. Now you're starting to gain some confidence, right? So you're switching, just like the title of this stream says, you're switching from a mindset of, oh shit, I'm just barely surviving each time. And the more little victories you get under your belt, you're like, I survived this last time, I'm good, right? So now you're starting to score some points. You're starting to get some victories under your belt, right? And as a result of this, you're slowly starting to lose the fear of fear. You're slowly starting to lose the fear of fear, right? So you see where we're going with this. And again, you don't have to be perfect for that to happen. It's just about scoring little victories when you can. It's about scoring some points when you can, right? Let that confidence slowly build. Those little victories will give you some confidence. Who will be the next podcast guest? And then Mike Mike puts his hand up. I think Mike wants to be the next podcast guest. I think Mike wants to be the next podcast guest. Does the first fear eventually die off completely after accepting for a while? Well, we call that healing. We call that healing. We call that desensitizing, right? So eventually you literally rewrite these pathways. You literally rewrite these pathways. We call that healing. What happens when you eventually lose your fear of the triggers because you sit through them and you go with them and you don't quote unquote crack, right? You start scoring some victories with these triggers. What happens? You teach your brain that there's no real danger. We call this rewriting the brain, right? We call this retraining the brain. We call this rewiring the brain. And that's what happens. You start to rewire the brain. The first fear will start to drop off, right? But in order to do that, in order to teach your brain that these things are not dangerous, you've got to face and accept them, right? You got to face and accept them. So that's the fun part. We got to use the two main keys. We got to live life. We got to stop fighting with the thoughts and feelings, see it right through. And then eventually we'll start to lose the fear of it, right? And then the brain will start to learn, no big deal. Okay? And then that's when we get the rewiring start to happen, right? That's when we get the rewiring starting to happen. Your brain is a very smart piece of work, okay? Your brain is a very smart piece of work. You say, how come triggers come back? If we never face the triggers, right? If we never face the triggers, okay, to a degree where we teach our brain that there is no danger left to be had, right? And we're just barely scraping by with coping methods and compulsions, we can get to a point where we feel rather okay. But if we don't retrain that brain, right, your brain's very smart. It knows what your triggers are. That's why you truly got to face. That's why you truly got to face. That's why you truly got to see it right through, right? I would love to be on the show, so we've got a couple people wanting to be on. Thank you, Miss Moon. I appreciate that. I've left an imprint here, so my house in general gives me anxiety. I need to move and start again. Well, that sounds like the biggest avoidance technique I've ever heard of in my life. Right? So the brain is very, very flexible. It learns, but you got to be willing to do it. It learns, but you got to be willing to face these quote-unquote demons. They're not demons. They're little fucking pussycats. But you got to be able to face what you think are your demons, right? Until you realize that they are pussycats, which means you have to be triggered over whatever. I don't know what your triggers are, but you have to be triggered over whatever, and you have to quote-unquote see it right through without adding to it, fighting with the thoughts and feelings, using coping methods, using compulsions. You never give your brain a chance to learn that these things are not real dangers if every single time you think that you're barely just surviving because you're using the compulsions and the coping methods, so forth and so on, right? Your brain, when triggered, wants to see you do nothing but continue living. No compulsions, no coping methods. You start to score some victories there. The brain says, we're good. This doesn't have to be a trigger anymore. It starts to rewrite. It starts to do some work, right? But if you get to a point where you're triggered, high anxiety, you do a coping method, and you tell yourself, I barely survived that one, then the brain's going to continue thinking this thing's a danger, right? So here comes the fun part. Facing the thoughts and feelings without trying to do anything about them until the brain learns that you're all good, right? That's the fun part. We call that the practice. And that's where the fun part comes into play, right? But you're capable, and you don't have to be perfect. You can start cutting back on these coping methods and compulsions. You can start retraining your brain, right? You're capable. Dr. Claire Weeks puts it very simply. She says you just have to lose the fear of fear. She says that sensitization heals rather quickly without fear. So we got to stop fearing the triggers and the feelings somehow. How do you do that? By seeing them right through, right? You start to lose the fear of them. You start to call their bluff, right? But you can only do that through experience. You got to experience that for yourself. It takes a little bit of practice. Takes a little bit of practice. Let's see here. Let me see. So some Dr. Claire Weeks quotes here. Dr. Claire Weeks says, be prepared to think and feel anything. Let come what will, right? Sensitization alone is not enough because without fear, a body will quickly repair its sensitized state. So again, we're working on losing that fear. There's only one way to do that. See it right through. See it right through. Let's see what else I got here. Let's see what else I got here. I gotta plug my headset charger in or it's gonna die on me. Okay, so this is not a Dr. Claire Weeks quote, but this is something that I really, really enjoyed. It is allowing the negative thoughts to continue, right? And the feelings. It doesn't say that here, but and the feelings. It is allowing the negative thoughts to continue, and despite them, consciously deciding to face your fears. If your amygdala symptoms make you feel the dread, let it. Let it ride its own storm while you continue to watch your TV show, unfazed, right? So let's read that again. It is allowing the negative thoughts to continue, and we'll go ahead and throw feelings in there too. It's allowing the negative thoughts and symptoms to continue, and despite them, consciously deciding to face your fears. Now, what does that mean? Because it goes on to say, you just continue to watch your TV show unfazed. So what does that mean? Some people are probably wondering, Wonder Bro, how the hell does continuing to watch my TV show me consciously facing my fears? I'll tell you how it's you consciously facing your fears. Because whatever negative thoughts or feelings you're having, you're probably thinking to yourself what you've done for so long. Oh shit, I need to do something about it. I need to get up. I need to turn this TV show off and go use a compulsion, go use a coping method. I need to do something mentally, physically to get this to go away. Whatever it is you do, right, that you've done for so long. So when you decide to have these thoughts and feelings and you just continue watching TV instead of resorting to all your coping methods and compulsions, that is you consciously, quote unquote, facing your fears. And that's you teaching the brain, right? So again, it says this. It is allowing the negative thoughts and feelings to continue, and despite them, consciously deciding to face your fears. If your amygdala symptoms make you feel the dread, let it. Let it ride its own storm while you continue to watch your TV show unfazed, right? So again, just continuing to watch your TV show instead of trying to do anything about the thoughts or feelings, that is you showing your brain that you're not going to try to do anything about these thoughts and feelings. That is you showing your brain that these thoughts and feelings are not a real danger. Therefore, you're not going to try to do anything about them. So it might take everything in you to get that experience where you do not get up off the couch and run to the same corner. But as we start to face this, we start to lose the fear of it, right? And you're teaching your brain that all is good because you're not trying to do anything about it anymore. And that takes practice. Not doing anything about it anymore takes practice, right? You got to see it right through. It takes practice. Great stream, Wonder Bro. Definitely been helping me out. I appreciate that, Tim. Thank you, dude. I appreciate that, NS. You always have a great stream. Thank you, Truth. We got a Dr. Claire Weeks quote in chat that says, accept that you may frighten yourself for some time to come until habit dies and sensitization improves. Yes, habit dies. Travis wants to be on the next podcast. Travis, to that said, LOL, so probably not. Basically do what you did before you were sensitized. Yes. Nova's still going to town on the stuffed animal, so if you hear her squealing in the background, try to just overlook it. Cowboy Travis. Basically just say fuck it. Yeah. Stop trying to do anything about it. Stop trying to do anything about it. It's the trying to do anything about it that's going to tell the brain there's a problem when there's not a problem. Right? That's what this, if you're late, that's what this all comes down to. Yep, absolutely sanity. Let's scroll up a bit and see if I missed any comments during my rant. Scroll up a little bit, see if I missed any comments. I think we're good. I think I got everybody. I want to see Terry and Jesse on the podcast. What's up, Jesse? How Winterboro can I donate? So you can either use the Cash App, which is on screen, or you can go through the PayPal, which is on screen. You can also use the link in the description. You got to close out the chat there with the X. The first link in the description, you can click on that. It'll walk you through it. Just read it. Just read it. It'll walk you through it. That's only if you want the screen to come up with the fat Santa and the candy canes and all that good stuff. You got to use the link in order for that to happen. One day I'm moving now, but yeah. So you're on the move, Jesse? Where are you moving to? Where are you moving to, Jesse? Which, speaking of the fat Santa, we gotta change that. We're past that now. We need to go change that, like, right now, actually, while I'm thinking about it. We're past the fat Santa, man. Christmas is over. Why we still got the fat Santa up there? I don't know. It's because I'm slow. That's why I chat. I'm slow when it comes to updating things. Let's see if we can get fat Santa out of here, replace it with something else. I've done this a million times. You would think I would know exactly where to go here. All right, here we go. That's not a real tip. That's not a real tip. I accidentally hit test donation. Not a real tip. Just ignore that. Okay. Sorry, chat. I'll get back to you in just a second. There we go. We might as well put a new sound on here, too. There we go. Alright, we got it updated. We're good. Everybody say goodbye to Fat Santa. Everybody in chat say bye, Fat Santa. Until next year, bye, Fat Santa. Everybody wave goodbye to Fat Santa. Everybody wave goodbye to Fat Santa. Good night, Kate. Good night, Kate. Nighty night. How much longer are you going to be on? I'm going to be on for a little bit. We just passed the halfway mark. We just passed the halfway mark. We're about 45 minutes in. So we're still going to be on for a little bit. We usually go to about an hour. Everybody's actually telling Fat Santa goodbye. Until next year, Fat Santa, you have served us well. Sanchez, the winner of our Christmas tree competition. My man. My man. I'm really happy with today's stream. I'm happy with yesterday's stream. I feel like these two streams together, powerful stuff, man. Powerful stuff. You're starting to realize that you're in this cycle because you fear the way you feel. You're also starting to realize how you stop fearing the way that you feel by seeing it right through. Live your life, stop fighting with the thoughts and feelings. Don't resort to any sort of old coping methods, bad habits, compulsions. See that shit right through. You'll start to lose the fear of it because you'll prove to yourself that you didn't have to do anything in order to survive, right? And that's how you start to lose the fear of it. Good shit, good shit, good shit. Remember to show the stream some love, guys. Show the stream some love. We gotta grow the channel. We gotta keep growing, man. We've been growing here as of late. Let's continue to grow. Oh, fuck. I just pulled my... Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I just pulled my mic off the bar. We're gonna have to fix that later. I don't want to unplug it right now. Not in the middle of the stream. Nova's whining because she sees a cat out the window. How do you see a cat out the window? It's completely dark outside. Oh, you're crazy. You're insane. Listen to this. I want everybody to listen to this. I don't know if she'll keep doing it. So useful. Love your channel. Recovery is possible. Just have to change the mindset. Absolutely. Got to see it right through, which takes some practice. Nova, come here. Come here. You're probably busting people's eardrums right now, and that's the last thing we want. We're trying to do a live stream. I know you have no concept of that, but we're trying to do a live stream here. Come here. Look what I got. Come here. Go get your porcupine. Go get your pineapple. I think it was a pineapple that Sanchez bought you. Go get your pineapple. I'd rather listen to the squeaky toy than you whining at the window. Wonder Bro, we having a New Year's stream? Possibly. That's an idea. That's an idea. We're facing fears and kicking ass around here, chat. We're facing fears and kicking ass around here. That's what we're doing. Let's see. I'm really afraid my mic's gonna fall off the arm here, so let me just put this back on. Hello. Mic check 1 2. We had to screw the mic back on the arm there. Are we good though? Nova, come here. Come here. All right, we're gonna have to close the window if you don't stop whining at it. So that's your choice. Your choice, man. Make it. It was a pineapple. Yes, it was a pineapple. I remember now. I don't know where it's at. She's drug it somewhere. She's drug it to a corner of the room somewhere, I'm sure. Come here. Come get pets. Calm down, okay? Calm down. There's been like a strange dog running around my neighborhood here recently. I don't know where it came from, but there's been a strange dog. I'm assuming one of the neighbors' dog for the past couple days. Running around the neighborhood, and I think that's what she sees out the window, and she's not happy about it. 69-day streak will be mine. I will sponsor it with 69. I call it. Oh, Sanchez. Oh, Sanchez. Sanchez calls it, man. Where'd our music go? Oh, there it is. There it is. We got it back. We're good. All right, I'm gonna put Nova in her kennel for the rest of the stream because that's just gonna keep happening. So give me just a second, chat. right, we are good. Let her chill out in there for a minute. She needs to eat anyway. What's up, John? Any tips on depression? It's not like anxiety. I can't teach my brain with my behavior. I beat anxiety a year ago and come off the meds. Thank you. So the thing about depression is you tell me if resistance is useful, right? So a lot of people who experience feelings other than anxiety think, oh, I got to approach this some sort of new way. I read a really good book on it. I wish I could remember the title. I'll try to find that. A lot of people, when it comes to depression or other feelings that they don't like, they think, oh, I got to go about this somehow different. And I say, what good does resistance do? When you wake up every single day and you're fighting with the thoughts and feelings and you're telling yourself, oh, this sucks, I hate this, I don't want to feel this, right? And you're not living your life anymore. What good does any of that do? So a lot of people are under the false belief that the two keys are not going to do anything for them as far as other feelings that aren't anxiety are concerned. But then that's when we ask you the question, so you're telling me it's a good idea to start fighting with your thoughts and feelings? You're telling me it's a good idea to fight with your thoughts and feelings and stop living your life and tell yourself how much you hate them and stop trying to embrace the feelings. You start fighting them, you get into all this nasty resistance. Absolutely not. That'll never be a good idea, right? That'll never be a good idea no matter what you're feeling. And when you think about it like that, it makes sense, right? When you think about it like that, it makes sense. So we always like to say the two main keys are good life advice, not just good anxiety advice, good life advice. And we say that for that reason. That's the reason we say that. It's true, man. It's true. You know, what good will resistance ever do you? That's the question we got to ask ourselves. One second, chat. I'm going to get a sip of something. Sip of something to drink real quick.
Donation.
Man, as soon as I said that, and sat up, Mickey was like, nah, get your ass back here. Hey, Mickey, thank you so much for the $13 tip, Mickey. I appreciate you. Thank you. I just headbutted my mic on accident there. Thank you so much for that. Testing my basic math skills, as always. Thanks for that, chat. The old school beat, dude. We went old school. That's like, I honestly think that's the first sound we ever used. I think that's the first sound we ever used when we first started using Streamlabs. What's up, Eclipse? I ain't seen you in a minute, dude. How you been? Well, I hope. Thank you again for that, Mickey. How was that properly pronounced, Michi? Thank you again for that. Thank you, Mike. And who else was it? Oh, man, chat. Don't let me forget. Who else was it? Kara, I think. Kara, I believe I'm saying that right. Thank you guys, man. I appreciate it. Also, John, since you mentioned it, I just wanted to touch on that again real quick. Since you mentioned it and you said that you had beat anxiety a year ago, and I think you also said you come off all your meds, which, again, you know, that's personal choice. That's personal choice. But congratulations on that. It's important to remember that sometimes, when you recover from anxiety, you're kind of left feeling a bit exhausted, right? You're left feeling a bit tired. So that's important to keep in mind. I know you said that was a year ago, so probably something a bit different here, but I just wanted to throw that in there. It doesn't happen to everybody, but sometimes when people do recover from high anxiety state, they can be left feeling a bit tired or exhausted, and more times than not, they kind of mistake that for depression. They label themselves as depressed rather than just tired. So just something to kind of mention. I'm not sure if that applies to your case or not, but like I said, just something worth mentioning. I love that beat. Sounds sick. It's definitely, I really want to say it was the first one we ever used. I'm pretty sure it is. Because way back in the day, when we first started doing live streams, they were all done from my phone or iPad. I wasn't using like a fancy program for it because I didn't have a good enough computer for it. Yes, I missed the live stream, but I'm doing okay. I've had some more moments of practice recently passed through it. That's awesome, dude. You are slowly starting to lose the fear of fear. Slowly. It does require going through it, which is not the fun part. There's really not many fun parts to it. But you are slowly starting to lose the fear of fear because you're seeing that you don't have to do anything for it to leave you alone. So you're starting to do what Dr. Claire Weeks called seeing it right through. That's the word she used, right? Seeing it right through. So as you're seeing it right through, you're not resorting to coping methods, compulsions, yada, yada, yada. You're slowly going to lose the fear of all these triggers, right? Because you're proving to yourself that there's nothing you need to do about it. Once you start proving that to yourself, it'll get better and better and better. It takes practice. Not every day is perfect. And here's the thing. Here's another thing I want to mention. Especially to you, Truth, because I get the sense that you're going through a tough time today. So here's something I want to mention. If you have a tough day of practice where you don't nail it, right, and you resort to coping methods and compulsions, you don't see it right through, you start fighting with it all, right, just to try to get that relief. You have days like that, you're probably going to think to yourself, or you're going to start to think to yourself, oh man, I'm a fuck up. I'm doing it all wrong. It's wearing me out. I can't do this. You're probably going to want to be very negative about that. But let's not forget that it wasn't too long ago that you were sharing your success, right? It's easy to take an off day or even an off week, whatever. It's easy to take that and say, oh, well, this is just a reality. This is me. It's easy to forget about all the little successes you've had, all the little victories. And that's something we definitely don't want to do, right? Getting down on yourself like that is something we definitely don't want to do. I understand the drive to want to be consistent, but at the same time, there's a difference between wanting to be consistent and beating yourself up. There's a big difference between wanting to be consistent and just straight up beating yourself up for not having a great day of practice. So, I know you're very consistent, or at least you try to be, Truth, and that's the same for most people here. You try to be very consistent. That's a good trait, and you try to hold yourself responsible for your practice, and that's good too. That's a good trait. But at the same time, there's a fine line between holding yourself accountable for your own practice and beating yourself up, right? There's a fine line between that. Once you start to get into that beating yourself up territory, probably time to dial it back a bit, realize that you have had some successes, just try to get back on the wagon. And realize too that it's normal, man, it's normal. You absolutely have, Truth, you absolutely have. And I'd rather you be thinking about that than beating yourself up for having a bad day.
Donation.
Mindy. I hope I'm saying that right. I don't know how I could screw that one up. Mindy with the $10 tip says, First time donating. Mindy, thank you so much. First time donator, first time tipper. Let's show her some love in the chat. Thank you so much for that, Mindy. Puts us at 33. Puts us at 33. We're close to moving on to a 68-day streak. Holy shit. Thank you guys so much, man. I appreciate it. And Mindy, thank you for being a first-time tipper. I really do appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. Show some love. Show some love, show some love. Wonder Bro, do you have no fear? No, I'm not Superman. I strive to be Superman every single day, but unfortunately I'm still a human. I've got things that I fear. Put me in a room with a spider if you want to smell shit in my pants. Right? Put me in a room with a spider if you want to smell shit in my pants. Here's the thing. Because you desensitize your nerves and you heal your nervous system by facing it and not adding so much second fear, right? You train your brain, you desensitize. That doesn't mean you become superhuman that doesn't have any fears in the world, right? You're still very much a human. There's things you don't like. There's things you like. You have your likes. You have your dislikes. There's things you fear. There's things you don't fear, right? Just because you desensitize and heal your nervous system doesn't mean there might be some things, some other things that you want to tackle, right? Some other things that you want to work on. So, just because you desensitize doesn't mean you become, a god among men. It means that you've healed your nervous system by not adding so much second fear and worry, and you're at a comfortable place now where your nerves are comfortable, right? But there still can be some other things that you might want to face or tackle. I should probably face and tackle my fear of spiders at some point. So, it's just like anybody, it's just like anybody. Anybody on the face of the earth, whether they've been sensitized or not, you can go up to anybody you meet and say, hey, what do you fear? And they'll at least give you a few things, right? They'll at least give you a few things that they fear. I mean, that's just being human. I remember me being that way, damn. The mic do be dope, brother. What mic is that? I appreciate it. The new mic, this beautiful sound quality that is hitting your ears, is all thanks to Darcy. Darcy got me this off of my Amazon wish list. Thank you so much, Darcy, if you're watching, or if you do watch some point in the future. Thank you so much, Darcy. The mic is a Blue Yeti. The mic is a Blue Yeti. Sanchez helping out the chat, dude. Thank you, Sanchez. I appreciate you. I agree. They call me Debbie Downer. Don't listen to the haters. You're just too hard on yourself. That's all. Blue Yeti, that's a great mic. I've heard a lot about that. Thanks to Darcy. Yeah, huge shout out to Darcy. Huge shout out to Darcy. We've been needing to improve the mic quality around here for quite some time, so huge shout out to Darcy. What if fear isn't causing the anxiety but the medical condition itself? Not saying I have one. So there's a huge misconception. So there's a lot of things that can cause physical symptoms, right? There's a lot of things that can cause physical symptoms. There's a lot of things that can cause the nerves to kind of pop off, right? But there's nothing that sensitizes the nervous system like worry, right? So you can approach pretty much anyone who's got some like underlying physical health condition or whatever, and you can ask them if anxiety is what bothers them the most. They're going to tell you, nah, it's this physical symptom I experience, man, as a result of my health condition. You know, you're not going to really approach anybody with a physical condition and say, hey, what bothers you the most about this physical illness that you have? And they're going to say, oh man, the anxiety that comes with it. You never hear that. You say, oh man, here's a list of my physical symptoms that comes with this physical illness that bother me, right? So my main point is being, although there's things out there that can contribute, or whatever the case may be, right? Nothing sensitizes your nerves like second fear. Style Alert, thank you, Style Alert, for the $5 tip. I really appreciate you. You say thanks for all you do. Where's the rest of the comment? Hold on, I'll get it. We'll work it out here. Thanks for all you do. I've come such a long way, finally enjoying life again. I still got work to do, though, but I will get there. That is the right attitude to have. Thank you so much, Style Alert, for the $5 tip. That puts us at 38. Thank you guys so much, man. I believe we are going to move on to that 68-day streak. I can feel it. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. Sanchez calls day 69, by the way. He called it in chat. He called it in chat. Just to kind of wrap up the point I was trying to make, Mindy, although there's things physically that can contribute, right, to feeling a certain way with your nerves, your anxiety, you know, nothing will sensitize your nervous system like second fear. You training your brain to be afraid of all these different triggers is something that's in your hands. So you can have a physical illness that gives you this symptom or that symptom, but nothing keeps you in a state of worry, second fear, anxiety, and fear like fearing fear. Does that make sense? Yeah, it can come in sudden waves. You know, a tired nervous system doesn't really need a reason to pop off. Doesn't really need a reason. Once they get so tired, they don't really need a reason to pop off, or sometimes you can have a trigger come in so quick, or whatever the case may be, but it's all treated the same, which is the good news. You don't have to confuse yourself. The stream really is a greatest music while walking. I'm walking and this feels calming. That's awesome, Ghost. I'm glad you enjoy our music selection here. I know it's not much, but we got to work with the copyright-free stuff, so we just gotta work with what we got. No, absolutely no problem, Mindy. You say, I hope I'm not treading on reassurance. You know, it's a good thing that you're considering that, but now that you've got your answer to your question, reassurance to me would be if you continue to repeat that, right? You weren't able to accept it, you know, I got to get more reassurance. That would be reassurance, but just asking a question once because you're genuinely curious, I don't consider that reassurance, and that's why we're here. So not a problem there. Again, there's a lot of physical conditions out there that might give you certain symptoms or whatever, but nothing's going to wire your brain to be so anxious like second fear. Nothing's causing you to fear but you, right? Nothing's adding second fear but you. So if you wire your brain to be anxious and you tire out your nerves with all the second fear, that's all in your hands, right? Sure, you can have a physical condition that gives you this symptom or that symptom, but nothing keeps you in a tired nervous system and keeps you sensitized like fear of fear. Not just the music, but your voice too. That makes it way more calm. I'm glad you find my voice calming, Ghost. Thank you for that. That's actually a pretty big compliment. I'll take that. I will take that. I think the symptoms that come from anxiety, you could say fear and anxiety are more or less the same, right? And to that I say the symptoms that come from anxiety are real. You know, they're felt. They're physically felt. However, your fear of them is what keeps them driven, right? And the only way to lose the fear of it is to see it right through. Your voice is calming for some reason, I agree. Probably just because you guys have listened to my streams or videos during your anxious moments, and maybe it helped you out, maybe it did something for you, so that's probably why your brains have made the association. Maybe I'm getting too technical, but it's true. It's true. No, I get you, Mindy. I get you. I've experienced the same. So to get rid of your fear of that feeling, you know, you got to get used to it. You got to be comfortable with it. And to get comfortable with it, you got to cut out trying to do anything about it, right? You got to quote unquote see it right through. You got to quote unquote see it right through. Not reaching for the coping methods or the compulsions or, you know. That's how you slowly start to lose the fear of it, because if you're always reaching for a coping method or a compulsion, you don't see it right through, you're still going to fear it at the end of the day because you think you're just barely surviving each time, right? Which that in itself is very much an illusion. The fact that you think you're barely surviving, you've just got yourself convinced of that because you've never seen it right through without reaching for this or reaching for that, right? And the reason I can't give a more clear example there is because everybody's coping methods and compulsions are a bit different.
Donation.
Oh shit, that's good. Sanchez, dude, thank you so much, man. It says 69, man. Are you serious? Are you serious? Sanchez is dedicated to that 69, dude. We were only like $10 away from tip goal, and Sanchez is like, nah, tip goal's not good enough for me. We got to go to 69. Thank you so much for that, Sanchez. Shout out, dude. Oh shit, it's Sanchez. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Sanchez. But say goodbye to your 69 already. Mindy coming in with the $6 tip says, I wish you the very best, Wonder Bro. Thank you so much, Mindy. You too. Thank you so much. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Well, Sanchez, you had 69 there for a second, dude. You had it for a second, dude. Mindy came in, took it away from you. Shout out to you, Mindy. Thank you so much. Shout out to you, Sanchez, Style Alert. Thank you guys. Appreciate you. Shout out to Mickey. Appreciate you, Mike. Appreciate all of you. Kara. God, I keep butchering that name. You know who you are. Thank you guys, all of you. I appreciate you. I appreciate the shit out of that. Mindy. Hey, that's why you got that big baller roll, Sanchez. That's why you got that big baller roll. Hey, what's up, Seven? How have you been, Sanchez? Sorry, Sanchez, didn't mean to knock your 69 into 75. It happens. I feel like as long as Sanchez gets the satisfaction of seeing it at 69 at least for a second, then he's happy. He's satisfied. Yeah, you really do. No, you're not even lying. You really do, Sanchez. I agree with that. Snap, did I miss it again? You're late, man. You're late. That notification bell must have failed you again. I'm sorry. I wish that shit worked a little bit better. I don't know why it doesn't. I wish it worked a little bit better, man. The notification bell seems to let a lot of people down. Been good, brother. Glad to hear it, dude. Yes, even if it's just 69 for 1 second. I love it. He's satisfied. You see, he's satisfied. As long as it's there for just a second, he's happy. Hey, I appreciate it, guys. The night streams have actually been going pretty well. They've been going pretty well, which I know this is like the norm. This is usually when we do the streams, but it's been a while since we've done them at this time, so I wasn't quite sure how people would adjust to that, but they seem to be going just fine. They seem to be going just fine. I know my stream times are all over the place, and it's probably a little frustrating, especially considering the notification bell doesn't work half the fucking time, but that's why we always upload the streams for the people that may have missed them. Don't forget to throw the stream a like, guys, real quick. Throw the stream a like. Let's try to grow this channel a little bit more. Night streams are awesome. I'm glad you enjoy them, Ghost. Like I said, this is what we normally do, so it's not like anything crazy or whatever, but it's been a minute since we've done one, so because it's like early morning for me. Yeah, I mean, that's another thing too. Time zones, man. Time zones exist. So it's like I call it my night stream, but for some of you guys, this is like the perfect time. It's like early morning for you. And then my early morning streams, I call them my morning streams, but for some of you guys, it's like in the middle of the night. So it's like no matter what time we pick to stream, it's always going to be convenient for somebody, but inconvenient for somebody else. So it's like, you know, there's really no definite answer there. You could stream at any hour, and it's going to work for some people and not work for others. That's reality, man. I feel like I'm king of the world. What's up, dude? You are king of the world, man. Wear that crown, bro. Wear that crown. You are king of the world. You don't just feel like it. You are. You're the king of your own reality. I'm on vacation now, so I'm excited. Get it, dude. Get it, dude. All right, guys. Everybody, we're starting to get some people tuning out here. I think it's that time. We're about an hour and a half into this stream today, so we're going to go ahead and wrap it up right here. Thank you guys so much for watching, man. I appreciate all the love and support. Another good one. Another good one. Yeah, we got Truth going to bed. That's how you know it's time. It's time to wrap it up. I love you guys. We're going to head on over to the end stream here. Anything I want to say? I want to plug the social real quick because I never do that. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Vacate Fear. Go check it out, guys. Leave the streams a like, man. I appreciate all that you do. I really, really do. You guys have no idea how much I appreciate you. I love you, and I'll see you very, very soon. Sanchez says, play our song. You are right. You're absolutely right. Hold on just a second. Let me get that prepared. Let me get that prepared here. You are absolutely right, Sanchez. What am I thinking? What am I thinking? All right, guys. I will see you very, very soon. Until next time, as always, stay awesome.
I got my own cold digger. If I wasn't this way, I'd rather die. Did it die? Yeah. Did it die? Did it die? I'm a stone cold killer. I'm a billionaire. I got my own cold digger. If I wasn't this way, I'd rather die. Did it die? Wait. Did it die? Wait. Did it die? Whatever you want, I'll be whatever you want. Just tell me you love me or not, whatever it costs. I know I'm talking a lot, there's something I gotta get off. Don't wanna be this no more, I don't wanna drink no more. Always gotta do the most, thinking that I'm insecure. Really should've listened more, but I don't, of course. I'm an asshole, I'm a good guy, I'm your best friend, I'm the worst type. Tell you everything that you heard right, just so I can fuck on the first night. Feel like I'm losing hope, running from coast to coast. I don't know where to go, this all I've ever known. I'm a stone cold killer, I'm a billionaire. I got my own gold digger. If I wasn't this way, I'd rather die. No, did it die? Wait, did it die? Wait, did it die? I'm a stone cold killer, I'm a billionaire. I got my own gold digger. If I wasn't this way, I'd rather die. Won't die. Did it die? Wait, did it die? Wait, did it die? My aunt think I'm perfect, I know I'm not. My mama be worried, I told her stop. They know I did drugs and think that I'm off. Little do they know I never could stop. My manager hate when I'm pulling up late. Back on my bullshit, she think it's a phase. I got relations I gotta maintain. I'm two different people, my side and my main. Yeah, I'm sober, I'm an addict, I'm a low life, I got habits, but I refuse to be average. Really so tired of acting, don't know what I miss no more. Too bad you don't hit me more. I'm bad when I get too bored, careful what you wishing for. I'm a stone cold killer, I'm a billionaire. I got my own gold digger.